Hello everybody, Darcy Marler here. In this week's video, we're going to do another Students Taking Action video. I know you love these. We're going to meet Curtis. Now, Curtis was one of my very first students 2.5 years ago during the beta test. So he goes back a long way and he's done a ton of stuff since then. We'll see what he's been up to. Basically, as a teacher though, you're always wondering, are the students paying attention? What's going on there? This guy paid attention. He's done several of my micro strategies. Land severance, land flipping, infill development, lot assembly, these kind of things. And some of the other things I talk about, in and out quick, work with the city, not against it, become a community expert, partner with a builder. He's doing all these things and doing it very well. We also get into funding and how he's kind of affording some of these things. So it's a really good interview. It's about 10 minutes. If you're into this, I really think you're going to enjoy it. If you want to get into real estate development and you haven't yet, comment. I'd like to talk to you. I'd like to figure out why. What's holding you back, fears, whatever. I'd like to start a personal dialogue. See if I can maybe give you that little push and get you going on your future. But yeah, let's meet Curtis and see what we can learn from him. Hello, Curtis. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Darcy. Thanks.
Good. So I'm so glad you could come and be a guest on our Students Taking Action video series. So yeah, can you maybe introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks for the invite, Darcy. I've been a mortgage broker for 20 years and been a mortgage broker with Qantas for 10 years now. So a couple of milestones this year. And yeah, quite thrilled to have been doing the same thing for 20 years because it's a long time in the same industry.
That's really awesome. Good for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Tell us what real estate investing you were into before you got into developments.
Before I was doing developments, I was flipping single-family homes, the occasional condo, but I stuck to single-family homes. But quite often back when I first started investing, you could still assume mortgages. So I was also acquiring real estate as rentals. If I could put a basement suite in them, I would put a basement suite in them, and I accumulated quite a large portfolio of rental properties. And I tried to flip a property every once in a while just to come up with another down payment to acquire another rental property. So that was the gist of my my real estate investment experience.
So assuming mortgages, that does go back a ways. I remember.
It does go back a ways. Yeah, well, that tells you how long I've been in the industry. So
yeah, no, I was assuming mortgages back in the day when it was allowed to. That takes me back. So yeah, so you've been you were one of our first students for part of our beta test way back in late 2021. So you've been into development now for a couple of years, 2.5 years. So what? Tell us some of the stuff you're into now. What's development got you doing?
Right. So yeah, what led me to the development side was. A friend of mine noticed that I had flipped a condo. So I'd actually flipped a condo in 2020, I think. And I posted some pictures on Facebook. And then an acquaintance of mine got in touch with me and said, well, I've just done this development deal. And he subdivided a lot and built 2 single-family homes. And I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting. And he said, yeah, but my partner doesn't want to do that again. So how about you? Would you like to do that again? And I'm like, okay, well, let's look into it. And so about 3 years ago, we formed a company, and now we're just buying lots. Quite often we subdivide them and maybe even just sell off the lots. But sometimes we'll actually build on one of them. So it's just basic land development, really.
So you're doing it's not 20 acres on the outskirts of town. You're buying kind of an old house in the inner city and either just flipping that, as you say, or knocking it down and then actually splitting the lot in 2 and building either 1 or 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And how are you liking that?
Well, I love it because it's different than what I was doing before. And it actually takes a little bit less of my time because it's basically I'm hiring somebody to do the subdivision for me, whether that's an architect or someone that has that experience. And they subdivide the lot. And we're typically going through someone who's really good at finding the lots. We're looking for something that's 50 or 60 feet wide on its own, or maybe we find, 225s and put them together. Or once we actually found 330s and put them together, or no, 245s, sorry, it was 245-foot wide lots, total 90 feet of frontage. So just small land assembly deals. And then we subdivided that 90 feet into 30. So we took 2 lots and put them into 3. That's a little harder to do because you need 2 cooperative sellers. at the same time. But when it comes together, it works out really well.
Good for you. That's awesome. That's like 3 or 4 of the micro strategies that I talk about all mixed up with them. So what? Yeah, we don't talk about. We rarely talk about return on time in real estate investing. We're always just about number of doors and cash flow and all that stuff. We rarely talk about return on time. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it's we're busy up front, kind of finding and putting together the deal, but then the team takes over and there's very little for us to actually do.
Yeah, you're right about that, Darcy. It's a little bit less time intensive during the bulk of the process, which is cutting through the red tape at the city. And I can continue to do mortgages, so it doesn't interfere with my normal day-to-day business.
When you're actually going through and building it, how is that getting done? You're hiring a builder, you're partnering with a builder, what are you doing there?
Yeah, typically we're using a builder that we met a few years ago. We built with him once, and it worked out so well that we just kept him on our team, and he's been great.
What's the kind of, like I said, did you just kind of hire him, or is he got some equity stake, or how's that work?
Right. Well, he has 2 options because he's been doing this in the inner city for quite a while. So you could just hire him if you wanted to build a house that you're planning on living in. Of course, he has that option. He's a builder, general contractor, but he also will waive that fee for a share of the equity. So that's also another strategy.
Yeah. And does he help you find the land too sometimes? Or?
Yeah, the builder or builders have helped us find lots in the past because the real estate agents are out there that are pounding the pavement will be trying to sell lots to builders all the time. So the builders are kind of the key partner in this whole deal, is because they know what lots are coming up for sale. And they know what's a good deal and what's not a good deal. They probably turn down 9 out of 10 realtors or phone calls that they get just because it's not a good deal. They're just trying to sell them a lot. But the builders are doing this over and over and over again, so they know what a good deal is and what isn't.
Yeah, exactly. We talk about being a community expert, and not only us as investors, but also the builders are too, if they specialize in a community. So like you said, they get to know what's normal. Perfect. So tell me, after taking the course and going through it, what are some of the things you took away from the course? How did the course help you?
Well, the course taught me how to do my due diligence, for one thing. Looking at current zoning for a particular city, like that was where all the research is being held. That's the key right there, is just to figure out what is a good lot. Like I'm getting a second look at it once it's going through the builder's eyes. But my business partner and I have to do the research as well, just to do our own due diligence and not just completely rely on somebody else. So I learned due diligence in your course. That was one of the main takeaways. And the fact that, sometimes just doing the subdivision is enough. There's profit in that. You don't necessarily have to build on every lot that you subdivide. Someone may come along and offer you a pretty good price for your lot after you've done the subdivision. And if there's a fair amount of profit in that, why not take it? Just lowers your risk and you can move on.
So the in and out quick that I'm always talking
about. In and out quick, yeah. Lowers risk, less time out of my pocket.
Perfect. So funding these, so kind of getting the money to put together, how just generally, how are you doing that without getting necessarily too detailed, but what are you doing there?
Finding the money to put the deals together?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I do private lending pretty much every time. So private, it's a combination of 2 things, I guess. So it's the private lending combined with my own home equity lines of credit. So I still own a few rentals, and I've put HELOCs on them. And because I've owned them for so long, there's a fair amount of equity there. So those are the 2 main things. So it's my own HELOCs, which are quite large now. But I can go to private lenders, and as long as you've got a good deal on the land purchase, they'll do a construction draw mortgage for you if you decide to build the entire thing. Or they'll just loan you 60 to 75% of the purchase price of the land until you do the subdivision. And private lenders are okay with doing that because they understand the game. And there are some lenders that'll go even higher. Like there's one lender that'll go up to, you put $10,000 down and they'll finance the rest if that's really what you want to do. Just gets a little more expensive if you go to higher loan to values, but it can still be done. And if the deal's a good deal and you don't have a whole bunch of capital to work with, that can work as well.
Exactly. And private lenders like that, the key thing is you've got to have kind of a clear exit strategy. So here's what we're doing. Here's what we bought it for. We're going to apply for these and these permits and do this, and then we're going to sell. And we've already got the seller lined up usually or whatever. So they need that clear picture, but they'll work with you if you've got that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I might add that the first one that you do with a private lender is always going to be the hardest because they don't know you. They don't know what your skill set is. But if you get through the pipe with one and they make their money and you make your money, second, third, and fourth deals, it just gets easier.
That's awesome. So that's the last 2.5 years. So what do the next 5 years look like? What are you thinking of getting into, or just continue, or what?
Well, continue with this strategy for sure, but I would like to raise some money privately myself through maybe some sort of friends and family type of thing where I can accumulate the money in one spot and use that to go out and buy more projects. So now that I've got the confidence and know what good deals look like, maybe I can do a little bit larger land assembly deals, put them together, and everyone gets to profit.
Confidence is one of the main drivers of this whole thing. You've got to take that first step on that first one, and then, like you said, it just gets easier after that. So, and then you can grow big from there. Good for you. Well, that's it. Thank you very much for taking the time out to do this, Curtis. I really, really appreciate it, and I loved watching your progress along the way. You're doing some really cool things and doing more than one or two micro strategies, which I always like to see as well. So, good for you.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It was a great course to take.
Thank you very much, my friend. So yeah, we'll keep in touch. Thanks so much for being here.
Okay. Thanks, Darcy.